So this is A-level physics, and today we are going to discuss a new inclusion in A-level physics, which is PET scanning, positron emission tomography scanning. So let's start by the concept first. A radio tracer is being injected into the patient. The radio tracer is basically a radioactive nuclei, which is basically glucose based, mostly glucose based, and for example fluorodeoxyglucose. How is it made? Is that it is an oxygen 18 nuclei which is being bombarded with protons to form the fluorodeoxyglucose. This 18 fluorine is being added to make it a radioactive nuclei. So what basically happens is that the tracer emits the positron beta positive particles, which are the antiparticles of electrons, and electrons are being emitted from the body. As a result of the process of interaction of electron and a beta positive particle, what basically happens is that the process of annihilation occurs. In this process, gamma ray photons travel 180 degree out of phase. Gamma ray photons are being emitted in 180 degree out of phase. The reason being of 180 degree out of phase is that initially the electrons and the beta positive particles had zero momentum. So after, in order to conserve the momentum, the photon gamma rays travel 180 degree out of phase. Do bear in mind that over here mass is being converted to pure energy. The gamma rays which travel in 180 degree out of phase are being detected by the gamma ray detector. Now several interactions occur and several detections are being made depending upon the concentration of the gamma rays being on depending upon the concentration of absorption, gamma rays are being emitted across the whole detecting tube. After seeing the detection, a pattern is being made on what is the concentration of gamma rays in which section, and this is then being compared. This experimental image is then being compared with the control image, and then the control image is being deducted from the experimental image to get the difference image, which tells that what problem do we have. Do we have a cancer? Do we have a tumor? Or whatever the issue would be reflected in this difference image. So let's start with the definition of tracer. Tracer is a substance containing radioactive nuclei that can be introduced into the body and is then absorbed by the tissue being studied. Properties of the tracer are that the nuclide which contains the beta positive particle is being used because we need to interact it with the electron. Mostly glucose based molecules are being used because they have a more absorption rate. The tracer have a very short half-life, so it needs to be made freshly. It cannot be made stored. It is being made artificially by bombarding proton on a nuclei. The reaction is that a positron interacts with an electron from the body, and as a result gamma ray photons are being made which travel 180 degree out of phase. So this is the reaction, and some characteristics of the reactions are that the mass, energy and the momentum are conserved. The particles of gamma ray move 180 degree out of phase because the combined momentum of the positron and the electron is zero. So momentum after must also remain zero, so the gamma ray must travel in opposite direction, and the last thing is that the purely mass is being converted into energy of gamma ray photons. So according to the E is equals to mc square is being applied over here. So there are basically two formulas. One is energy of a photon, which you have already studied. E is equals to hf, where E is the energy, h is the Planck's constant, which is 6.6 into 10 to the power negative 34, and f is the frequency of the wavelength. And the second formula is of momentum of photon, which is momentum equals E over c, energy over c, which is c is the speed of light. You need to realize that how are the detection of the gamma rays are being made. The gamma photons are incident on the detector on that circular tube. Because of those incident gamma photons, the electrons are being excited to a higher state. Number two, when from higher state the electrons move on to their normal state, they emit visible light. And number four, a visible light causes electrical signal to produce, and those electrical signals are fed to the computer to make the 3D image of the object or the body organ being studied. This is how the reconstruction of the image is being done. The gamma rays travel in 180 degree out of phase, and the line, and this line which is 180 degree out of phase, is called the line of response. Line joining the path of the gamma ray photon is called the line of response. So let's see a question. It says that we have an electron and a positron at rest, and a positron interacts with an electron, and it makes two gamma rays which have the same energy. It says that calculate for one of the gamma ray photon the energy in joules. So what we can do over here is that apply E equals change in mc square, where E is to be found the mass of a single electron is 9.11 into 10 to the power negative 31, and the speed of light is 3 into 10 raised to the power 8. So this makes 8.2 into 10 raised to the power 8.2 into 10 raised to the power negative 14 joules. Next we need to find the momentum. Momentum is energy over speed of light, so which makes up 27 into 10 to the power negative 22. So in the next part it says state and explain the direction relative to each other in which the gamma ray photons are emitted. Initially the momentum was 0, so the total momentum must be conserved, so the gamma ray photons must travel in opposite direction. So in this question it says that explain the basic principles of PET scanning, including how the image is being formed. So that was a 4-mark question, and that includes the points that brain surrounded by ring of detectors, the positron from the nuclei and the electron from the body annihilates, produces gamma ray photons traveling in opposite direction, and the fourth point would consist of the images being formed after the electrons change their state, emit visible light to produce electrical signals, which are then fed to the computer to form a 3D image. So that's it for this video. Do like and subscribe my channel for more videos. Thank you.